Alright, X, I've got a weird story to tell you guys. I don't come to this board often at all, but this seems like the right place. Be me, serving time in prison for street racing. Yeah, I know it's stupid. I did it once after getting pressured by my friend. I got caught immediately, 2 months into getting a new cellmate. A nice enough guy but scared of everything, mumbled to himself. Get to know him. It turns out he's a paranoid schizophrenic. Wakes up screaming some nights and tells me about his delusions. He knows he's messed up.
Except for them, man, I know they are not delusions. I'm not crazy. I see those eyes every time I close my eyes. I'm never going to unsee that red light.
He starts rambling about how they came for him at night, and he got himself in prison to stay safe. He won't tell me what he did to get locked up and dodges the question every time. After a month, we become friends, and he opens up a little and tells me how he used to never sleep because that's when stuff would go down. When he would start to doze off, his body would start to feel really heavy, and he'd get a vibrating sensation in his limbs. Like a heavier, slower version of the way you feel when your leg falls asleep. A humming noise will start out quiet and get louder and louder, and a bright white light will fill the room. And then it slowly turns blood red as the hum reaches its peak pitch. Like a skull-splitting tinnitus. Says he usually blacks out after that, but not always.
Sometimes I see them. They don't want me to remember.
Ask him what he means, and he starts describing grays in great detail. I didn't believe in aliens at the time, so I thought he was totally nuts. Short, with limbs longer in proportion to their bodies than humans, about 4.5 to 5.3 feet tall. Gray, almost see-through skin. He said it looked more like a membrane than human skin. Massive black eyes that reflected everything like a mirror. They smelled almost like a burning phone charger. I asked him about the smell, but he just shrugged and said it was hard to describe. That it didn't really smell like burning plastic and wire. But it was the only way he could word it since he'd never smelled anything quite like it before. Says he's getting uncomfortable and that talking about them for too long makes him anxious. So he goes to sleep. The next day we had art therapy, stupid, right? And he gets all twitchy and starts drawing creepy stuff. I'm going to continue in the next post. We start art therapy, basically. We do it to let out our feelings because it's supposed to help people be less violent or something. I don't really know. I just start doodling. I'm usually a pretty chill guy, and I didn't really have anything on my mind. Danny, my cellmate, seems to enjoy these sessions for the most part, even though he's not very good. This time it's different. He's super anxious and says he was up nearly all night, even though I was up late and didn't hear him make a sound. Keeps scratching his neck obsessively, constantly chewing on his forefinger, and looks on the verge of some sort of panic attack. The therapist tells him to try and draw what's upsetting him. Stares at the paper and charcoal for like half the session, and then starts feverishly drawing. Fills the entire page with shades of red. Can barely make anything else out. Looks vaguely like a bedroom. Can see a blurry doorway. What looks like a bed? Maybe a dresser. It's all messy. You can see 3 figures near the bed. Blurry except for the eyes. Huge, pitch black almond-shaped eyes. They're surrounding the bed. With a sticky stick figure Danny in it, screaming. The therapist asks him to tell him what it is, and he just mumbles about a nightmare. Ask Danny about the art later. He tells me it's usually what happens when he sees the grays, but his therapist tells him it's a nightmare or sleep paralysis.
Nightmares don't leave marks,
he says, turning around and showing me the base of his neck. There is a faded scar on a small, perfect circle with a triangle of 3 dots in the middle. What the hell? He says he's woken up after nightmares with bruises in strange places on his body. Other triangles are made from dots. The therapist claimed it was just him self-harming in his sleep. Or sleepwalking. Bullshit. JPG. It's time for lockup. Don't feel like sleeping. So get in bed to read. On the first page of a new book when suddenly Danny sits up. Freaking the hell out, and yelling, "Dude," when asked him what the hell happened. He said they came for him and took him away. Now that I know he's nuts. He tells me to look at the time. There's a clock you can see from outside our cell. It's been 4 hours since lockup time. I was reading the same page that I started on 4 hours ago. There was no way I fell asleep or anything. That was one of the creepiest things that ever happened to me. Danny said losing time is common, but that he didn't see me on board. Why the hell would I lose time too? I've got more. Don't worry, this isn't the end. I get really freaked out, don't want to believe him, and get checked out by the prison doctor and psychologist just in case I'm losing my *T. But they say I'm fine, get cleared. so I just pass it off as dozing off while reading and not realizing it. A couple weeks go by as normal. Go into the yard, doing art therapy once a week. Go into the library, etc. Prison starts letting inmates have chalk in their cells so they can draw, write, or whatever, and it can't be used as a weapon. Danny starts drawing the faces of the Greys again and drawing oddly lined symbols that are like dots with lines, kind of like constellations. This is near the end of my stay. I think it was within the last month or two. I have been waking up with headaches and nosebleeds some days. These are not exactly strange. They can be side effects of the allergy medications I take. Looking forward to getting out. Danny still has a while to go. I still don't know what it was for or how long. We stay up late one night drinking shitty prison wine. The idiot who gave it to us messed it up, and it tasted like vinegar and piss, but it got us drunk. Drink till we are on the verge of passing out when suddenly Danny freaks out.
Do you hear that? Anon, please tell me you don't hear that.
It's the humming noise he mentioned. The noise gets louder and louder, and a higher whine can be heard over it, and Danny is pounding on the jail cell door, screaming for help. No one comes, no prisoner tells us to shut up, and no guard comes to slam their baton into the bars. What the hell is happening? A bright, pulsating, a white light is filling the prison, searing my eyes. Suddenly turns blood red and everything goes dead quiet. So quiet you can hear the blood rushing in your ears. I tried to hide under my bed. I can't move. It's like I'm made of lead, and my body is buzzing like it's made of bees. I start to panic, want to scream for help, ask Danny if he's okay, but I can't even open my mouth. I get the sudden feeling of being watched. In the glow of the red light, I can see shadows on the wall. Shadows start moving around, and suddenly I feel a sharp pain in my head and get a mental image of myself frozen in the cell, with Danny a few feet behind me. It was like someone put a camera in the cell and I was watching. The image was gone, but I could sense something was next to me. Everything goes cold, and the vibrating gets worse and more violent, almost as if the cells in my body were being thrown around. I can feel myself being lifted off the ground. Close my eyes, and even though I'm not religious, I start to pray. What else am I going to do to anything that'll listen? The red light is seared into my retinas. I'm screaming inside, but nothing comes out. Suddenly, I'm in a room. It's steel-colored with no light source, but evenly lit to the point of no shadow. The next thing I see are the eyes Danny mentioned. They were horrible, massive eyes that took up like a quarter of the face. Almonds were shaped and slanted like 45 degrees. They were pitch black. I could see my own terrified reflection in them. Those massive, wet, black voids reflected every inch of terror in my face. Those things didn't look remotely human. No drawing, Photoshop, or mask has come close to how awful those things were. The waxy, membrane-like skin almost pulsated. Images flashed through my head. Me and Danny, the aliens, the prison, pictures of planets, organs, and stars. It gave me a massive headache. I don't know what it was trying to do. Suddenly, I was in the prison hospital. They found me on the floor of the prison cell, with a blinding headache, lying in a pool of my own vomit and blood pouring from my nose. They found Danny huddled in the corner, sobbing, shit in his pants, covered in scratches and bruises. Doctors and guards questioned me. They thought we were fighting. Even though no one saw or heard anything at all, no one heard our screaming, the lights, the humming sound. How the hell? Told them that we got drunk but didn't fight or anything. I had no idea what happened to Danny. Released me in time for dinner. My head still pounding and my whole body aching, especially my neck. Four helped, but I wanted to get actual food in my body. Danny wasn't in the cafeteria. I didn't see him for another 3 days. Danny tells me they questioned him, asking why I attacked him. He says the wounds were self-inflicted, that he had a nightmare, and he clawed and hit himself in his sleep. They kept him under observation to make sure he didn't try and hang himself or something. Neither of us want to talk about what happened that night. All he asked was,
"You saw them too, didn't you?"
I nodded.
"You know that they are not going to let you go now, right? Once they set their eyes on you, you're in their sight for life."
I've been drinking, so typing is going slower, so I make sure I don't screw up so badly. I think I might look for the pictures he sent me. I know I have them around here somewhere, and I think I have some letters from him too. Obviously creeped the hell out. Neither of us slept well for the next few weeks. Nothing major happens until a few nights before I go out, mostly headaches and nosebleeds. Go to sleep, wake up in the middle of the night to the humming noise and bright red light. Please, God, no, not again. I can't take this again. The humming died down and the light faded away. I breathed a sigh of relief. And I realized it was probably just sleep paralysis, which used to happen to me as a kid, but I'd just see the old hag fall back asleep, wake up to the sound of guards yelling at me and slamming open the door, and tell me to get up and spread up against the wall, hands up. What the hell is going on? Start barraging me with questions like,
where did Danny go? How did he get out? Did you help him?
Keep telling them I didn't do anything and know nothing. They bring me to a room to interrogate me more. After a few hours of the same thing, they let me go. Talk to some other inmates who are in my cell block. They didn't see anything either. A guard who was friendly told me the cameras caught nothing either. It was like Danny up and vanished. Danny was gone for 3 days. Cops put out an APB for him, thinking he escaped. On the last day, some convicts found him in the rec yard, his foot somehow pinched in between weights that were already on a bar. He had to go to the prison hospital for dehydration and some broken ribs. As I found out later, they never found him on footage on any camera. So there was an investigation to see if there was a cop trying to get inmates out. I don't know if anything ever came of that. But I know for a fact that this wasn't the cops. There's no way he would vanish without a trace and then reappear clipped through metal. I never got to see Danny again. I left the day after he came back. He wrote me a few weeks after I left, telling me that the night he vanished, he saw the red lights again, and he hoped it would be the last either of us did. But we both kept seeing them. I don't think it happens often, but Danny probably does. I'm looking for his letters now. He had a few stories.
Hey, Stalker. Hope you enjoyed the video. If I could trouble you, give a like and a sub, it really helps the cause. And since you're already here, why not watch the next video? Anyways, stay comfy. Cortisol is bad for you.